The following is a full interview from the Border Battle with King and CJ. Tune into the Border Battle Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11 to noon on Suddenlink Channel 112, YouTube Live, or OSU Student Radio KXZY.
Against Kansas in that win, 12 threes made. Against OU, 9 threes made. Against Baylor, both times they played them, 5 threes.
Falling into this role, I kind of like it. Just any chance I get to throw for this team, I go out there and help them out in any way possible. I love to do that for them.
Is it disappointing for this team to know that they could potentially, if given the opportunity, have success in March, but the thing is it's looking less and less like they're actually going to get there?
I mean, you're dealing with one, right now, the premier softball program in the nation in Oklahoma.
Welcome back into Studio 318 here in the Paul Miller Journalism Building. You're listening to the Border Battle with King and CJ on Suddenlink Channel 112, YouTube Live, Border Battle On Demand, Facebook.com/Border Battle Show, and OSU Student Radio KXZY. Again, I'm King. He's CJ. Between us now, we have Stillwater News Press's Jordan Bishop. Jordan, thank you so much for carving out a few minutes for us. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me on. You know, I really like what y'all been doing here. It looks really good and it's really impressive. So thank you for having me on there.
He's brown-nosing us already. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Again, he among a multitude of things, you were down at the state tournament this weekend covering that for high school.
I
basketball?
cover high school basketball, Class A and B championships. We had a local team, Frontier High School. They made it to the state championship, and boys and girls, and got runner-up in both. So, but if they would have lost in semifinals, I would have been there in the Chesapeake arena for, you know, the women's team here at OSU, but they just kept winning. So state championship, Big 12 quarterfinal, that chose to be higher. So
makes sense to me. So among a multitude of other things you cover, I think you do softball as well, and women's basketball is right there as well. So we're going to talk about women's basketball. They were in the Big 12 tournament this weekend and lost in the quarterfinals, as you mentioned, to West Virginia. What was your first reaction when you saw just kind of the breakdown, or when you saw the results and kind of got to watch a little bit of it?
Well, I wasn't surprised. West Virginia is a team that Oklahoma State struggles with. You know, they're a really good team, and right now, this morning on the bracketology, I think they're first 4 out. They're 20 wins as well. They had some injuries at the beginning of the year. They're playing basically 7 people, West Virginia is. So I wasn't surprised OSU struggled with them. They played them last Saturday. They were down by 12 points in Morgantown before they made a comeback, and that was really good for momentum before the senior night here against TCU. But I think the part that was the changing moment in that was Braxton Miller getting hurt, her right knee. And that's your third leading scorer right there behind Kelly Jensen and Lauren Goodwin. And whenever that happens against a team like that, you know, against a team that is hungry and is trying to find, you know, their way into the tournament because the Big 12 isn't getting respect right now on the national level, I think that was kind of the moment there. OSU couldn't win. They lost by 9 points. They made a bit of a comeback at the end to make it respectable, but a good team like West Virginia, it's just you can't lose your third leading scorer.
Overall, have you heard anything as far as Braxton Miller's availability going forward?
As of an hour ago, they do not know yet. I asked before I came on the show just to make sure, and they don't know. I hope that she can play. After they lost Ariana Combs back in January, that knocked them down a level that they had been playing such a high level. Then you lose Braxton Miller, and then if they do make the tournament, which right now they are in as a 9 seed, if they do make the tournament, I don't know if they get past the first round. You know, with 2 people, it's kind of hard with basically just Jensen and Goodwin. So they need Miller.
You know, I made the case last week. Obviously, they play through Kaylee Jensen.
Yeah.
I made the case last week that, you know, you could make an argument that I'm not saying this is true. I'm just saying you can make an argument that Braxton Miller is perhaps their most important player because if she's hitting her shots, what it does to the defense to expand it out, it gives Goodwin the lanes to drive, and it gives Jensen a little more space to operate down low. What do you think about that theory as far as her importance to the team? And what does it do if she's out? Like how do they adjust if she is out for the tournament?
Oh, you mentioned that, you know, she does spread out the defense, and I think that she is probably the most important person on that team because of what she does. I think that's why she should have won the Freshman of the Year in the conference over Cheyenne Pellington from OU. But without her, then you have Lauren Goodwin trying to make things go, and she likes to drive in with that left hand. We all seen that. But if you can't have that, if you don't have anyone in the perimeter, which Maria Castro can shoot, she's on and off. Jaden Hobbs is on and off. So you need somebody who can shoot consistently, which is Braxton Miller. And without her, then you're going to have people double teaming Jensen like they did all last year. And then Goodwin's going to be stopped at driving. So you're going to be stuck with an offense that's just stagnant.
So do you feel this year's team, have they, overachieved? Have they maybe underachieved? What's kind of your take from watching the team, covering them throughout the season? What's that kind of been like with that?
I think at the beginning of the year, I think third in the league is fantastic for them. Obviously, there wasn't a Big 12 preseason media poll this year, so we don't know where they would have been set. But I think third in the league and Big 12 is great, even though the NCAA doesn't think so right now. But I think that, after they beat UCLA, they put Mississippi State and Tennessee down the wire thinking, oh, man, this could be a team that could go possibly to the Elite Eight, Sweet 16 definitely. But then you lose Combs. And after you lose Combs, you lose a defensive factor, and she's also your fourth leading scorer. So now you have to try to fill a spot that they've had trouble filling the past couple of years in that 2-3 spot. And then now you possibly lose Miller. You go through a losing streak in February. I think third right now, it seemed like it was underachieving back in December, but now it's overachieving considering what February was.
So then do you feel with now Kaylee Jensen being gone after this year, do you think that, is it kind of the same thing OSU is dealing with? Is like they get a team together for a little bit and then they lose a piece and now they're stuck trying to, in a sense, rebuild?
Yeah, especially because bigs are so hard to find in women's basketball. And ones like Kaylee Jensen, like she's found out of the middle of nowhere basically. And next year they have some people coming in. They have some freshman posts coming in. So, there's the Delap kid from California who's really highly rated. Maybe she can step in. Gentry Holt maybe can step up, next year. But it's going to be a struggle for that first year. Plus, you have find a point guard now because Goodwin's going to be going as well. So, Miller was a high school point guard, 3-time state champion in Ohio. So, I think she'll probably be the one. But you are kind of disappointed that, the injuries this year, they could have had something really special. But now you have to wait another couple years to get something like this back again. So.
By the way, I just want to make it clear to everyone that over those 4 years, Braxton Miller, the best Braxton Miller in the state of Ohio, because there was a quarterback that went to Ohio State University that was a pretty good player, but I think we all know who the best Braxton Miller in the state of Ohio was. No, but all joking aside, Jaden Hobbs and Castro, you talked about these two specifically, if Braxton Miller is out, with those two stepping into that role, and then Carly Wheeler obviously getting some more minutes now recently as well, is that a 9-seed team that can knock off a 1 seed?
No, because in women's basketball, the 1 seeds are just impossible to beat, especially because the way they do it in the women's tournament, you play on their home court. And right now, where they're at in the brackets is they're in Notre Dame's region. Notre Dame is number 1 in the RPI right now, which I don't really get because why isn't UConn number 1? They're always number 1. But it's just, it's hard in the men's tournament anyway to be number 1 team, but it's doable. It's on a neutral court. But in the women's tournament, you're on their home floor. So it's even more impossible. So I don't think that with Miller, you have maybe a sliver of a chance. Without her, I don't think a chance at all.
Because you went on the road to Mississippi State and played well there. If she's back, if she's playing well, what kind of performance is the team going to have numbers wise? Like, what are you looking for from Jensen, Goodwin, and Miller? What kind of numbers would you say is a good starting off point if they are to beat a number 1 seed?
Goodwin cannot have a bad shooting performance. She's had those in this season. She has to be on point. She has to be able to hit her jump shots. Jensen has to be able to get putbacks. She's gotten blocked sometimes going against bigger posts, especially at Baylor, which they have 2 monsters down there. And then obviously Miller, you have to make sure she can play well on that right knee, make sure there's anything lingering, and obviously you got to make sure that you have a 4th scorer as well. If you don't have a 4th scorer, you're playing 3-on-5 against number 1 seed in the country. It's not going to look good. That's what helped them out so well against Mississippi State was they had Combs, who, even though she averaged 8 points a game, she had the defense that could limit, one of their wings, which right now, Maria is a bit of a liability on defense, and Jaden is a bit of a liability. So you need to be able to have somebody step up if you're playing one of those number 1 seeds in the second round.
So let's talk now about Coach Jim Littell. How underrated is he as a coach?
Hugely underrated. This is his 20th 20-win season in his career. He turns talent out of people that nobody expects talent out of. Kaylee Jensen, obviously Lauren Gowen, who had a career where she went from every school imaginable, and this is her first year in the Big 12. He finds talent. Brittany Martin, obviously she was talented coming in, but he took her to another level. Big 12 for our only Big 12 player of the year so far. How he does that, I don't know. But he gets everything out of his players that you're in the toughest league in the country, I think. Going against Baylor and Texas, and on the road against West Virginia, Iowa State. Those are hard wins to get, and of course OU right down the road. And he manages to get them, top 4, top 5, and then this year top 3 every single year. In a place that when he came in with Coach Kurt Buckey, they hadn't won a conference game all year. So to have the team, nationally respected, I think he deserves a pay raise, in my opinion.
So what's the next step? How do we get more people in the seats? Because I get so frustrated because this is a team that, in my opinion, should be drawing 7 at the very least per game. I mean, what would we expect from a top 25, top 15 at one point in the season? What would we expect from a men's team like that?
Yeah.
Right? We'd expect 14 grand in the building.
Yeah.
Why can't we expect half that? Why are we getting 1,900 person crowds at GIA for a team that's competitive, that went down to Texas, one of the best teams in the country, should have won there, arguably should have won in Baylor, and then there's no turnout for those teams when they come up to GIA.
And I don't understand why there isn't any. The same thing happened a couple years ago with Brittany Martin, who is one of the best players I've ever seen. And I don't know if it was just there's no basketball, fan mentality here anymore. I just don't know, because you look at Iowa State, in Ames, they're a team with a losing record now, right? They're selling out the house. Texas Tech, a team that only has 1 conference win, is averaging more fans a game than Oklahoma State. I just don't know why. I tried my best. I've written columns on it, saying people come out, and it seems that this year it's gotten even worse. It just doesn't make any sense. They're offering good package deals. They had a night during a Christmas break where they wore sweaters, tacky sweaters. Like, they're doing good promotions. I just don't know why there isn't the turnout that they're expecting.
Yeah, I think it's so frustrating, because you mentioned the struggles that Texas Tech is having. Texas Tech is getting doubled up by some of these teams as far as score goes, and they're still. It's something that's frustrating, and I don't know if we'll ever really figure it out. But Jordan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
Again, Jordan Bishop from Stillwater News Press. Where can they find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Jordan Bishop 35. It's all together, no underscores or anything. So.
All right, so check him out on Twitter. We'll be right back. Coach Mike Boynton is in his rookie year coaching, and he has already vaulted himself ahead of any other Big 12 coach in one specific category. We're going to break down how that happened and what it means for the Cowboys' Big 12 tournament hopes. That's all next on The Border Battle on OSU Student Radio KXZY.